Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Rant podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights, Camera, Rant. And for this episode, we are going to be breaking down the brand new Marvel movie Thunderbolts. And I have a very special guest, which, you know, if you call me Mr. Rant, I call this man Mr. Letterbox. How you going, Zach? It's so good to have you back on the show.
Thank you. Long time coming. I am excited for our big discussion of the latest Marvel movie that's actually better than what I expected. Are we back? We'll see. I'm sure we'll chat about that. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so happy to be here.
I'm glad to have you here, man. For everyone who's a new listener, this man has been on the podcast 8 times, and is one of 2 that was my very first international guest on the podcast. And as we're recording, we're up to episode 206. He made his first appearance on episode 45.
3 years ago. Insane.
I know. That's where I look back on that and go, holy shit. It was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because I'm like looking at all the guests since then and all the episodes and just seeing the fact, oh, you know, it says 45, and now I'm like, shit, it's 206.
Long time coming.
I know, and I've still got a plan for this year for my 4th anniversary of starting the podcast in June.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it.
Yep, that's on the horizon. And then when we go to Europe, it'll be the first international recorded episode of Lights, Camera, Rant.
Hell yeah. Yeah,
well.
Love it.
And you, sir, yes, you know, your award-winning podcast has come to an end, but you have been smashing it on Letterboxd, which you were one of the people telling me that I need to get on board with it. I was a late person coming to Letterboxd.
Yeah, it's a fun app. It's honestly, I just look at it as more of a diary for myself, keeping track of all the movies I watch, whether it's rewatches or new films. It's just fun looking back at it. And then I've been doing this for a couple of years, so it's even more fun to look at the reviews as well and just kind of watching that progress over time. Much the same as you've done with your podcast.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's probably the only thing I do like going back and seeing the statistics of it all, especially when I first got it, I did a massive binge. Like I tried to put in all the movies I've seen, all the ratings, and go and look at the statistics to tell you, oh no, this is your number 1 director, or this is your number 1 actor, and you're like, huh? Like, I think one that surprised me was my statistics. Oh yeah, was go down. Was So directors. My number 1 director is Steven Spielberg, and that was like, okay, that made sense. My second one is Robert Zemeckis.
Really?
Yeah, and I was like, I know Back to the Future. I'm like, who? I'm like, what else? Until I realized Back to the Future, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Christmas Carol, Polar Express, Castaway, Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I'm like, that makes more sense. And then my third director is John Lasseter, which I was like, who the hell are you? Who the hell do you? Wait. I was like, oh, okay, so you are Cars 2, Toy Story, Bugs Life, Pixar films.
Yeah. I'm looking at my own. It looks like I got Ridley Scott as my number 1. Jon Favreau is my number 2. That makes no freaking sense.
Really?
And then the Russo Bros. Again, I do not watch Marvel as much as I used to, so that makes no sense. But here we go. We got Christopher Nolan, James Cameron, Denis Villeneuve, much more directors that I associate myself with. Chad Stahelski. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, after John, I've got Ben Stiller. And I was like, what? So didn't really Life of Mitty, Zoolander, Cable Guy, and Tropic Thunder.
He directed Tropic Thunder?
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's funny. The only thing I
Yeah.
can remember of his is Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and that's
Yeah.
that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah, so he did Zoolander. I didn't know he directed Zoolander, but he did. And I didn't know he directed Cable Guy either. So I was like, it's funny when you look back at this and you're like, who? But yeah, then it gets into Christopher Nolan, Ridley Scott, Sam Raimi, John Russo, Anthony Russo, and Tim Burton.
Yeah,
Starts going down that way.
I'm happy to report last year my favorite actors, the most cast was J.K. Simmons was my number one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My number one actor is John Rasenberger. And I was like, where are you from? He's the voice in all the Pixar films. So he's
Oh my.
So that's what I'm like, well, no one's going to top you.
Mhm. That's funny.
And then it goes into Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Samuel L. Jackson, Scarlett Johansson. Who was Bonnie Hunt? She's another Pixar lady. And then it goes to Harrison Ford. It goes into Michael Keaton.
There we go. Yeah. It's a fun app. I love it. It keeps track of everything for me, everything movie related, and it's a fun time.
Yeah. Well, it's been good, especially when I figured out how you can do the whole embargo thing onto your profile and how to get films to stick to your front cover of your
profile. Yeah.
profile page. But I haven't paid for Patreon. I haven't got that much disposable.
Oh, it's so much fun. You don't want to make your own posters or pick your own posters?
I do, but it charges me $75 to do it.
I know. It's a once a year thing. That's how I look at it. This year it renewed, and I didn't even blink an eye, so I just kept on rolling with it.
Done it. Yeah, no. I will. I think just after Europe, I'll update that because I do like how you can change the posters and not mention with yourself. Like you've got the background photo as well.
The backdrop.
So, which is pretty cool. But no, I'm so glad to have you back. And we're going to be talking about Thunderbolts. If you didn't already know by the episode and by Ryan Post or anything, we're talking about the second entry of the Marvel movies this year, the 36th 36th MCU film that we have entered to. And we are on the stretch going into Fantastic Four, Avengers Doomsday, Spider-Man Brand New Day, and then Avengers Secret Wars, going right into that. Initially this film, I remember it got announced. So it got announced back in September 2022 about this film. And I remember we got this concept art, and I was a bit like, all right, I guess to bring back Ghost, Taskmaster, John Walker and everything. I was like, all right, this should be interesting. Holy shit.
What a movie.
Yeah. This, I thought, going into this is going to be I'm thinking it's going to be similar to James Gunn's Suicide Squad because this is meant to be all the villains. This is meant to be the B characters. And, with Marvel at the moment, things have been kind of hit and miss going into phase post Endgame, and with some being absolute bangers, some have been not so great. And then we had the actors' strike, which pushed everything back out again, because originally this film was meant to be in July last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did get pushed back, didn't it? I completely forgot about that. Yeah, that's funny because they were filming last year.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that got pushed back again, and then the strikes didn't help, so they still had to finish filming. So, and then we get the team. We get this Thunderbolts team. Sorry, Thunderbolts asterisk for the entire movie. Asterisk all right at the end. How did you feel when they first announced this movie that we're getting this?
I was skeptical. I like the idea, like you said, Suicide Squad. That makes sense. You're taking all these anti-heroes or people we No, have kind of been on the sideline there, but I remember seeing John Walker, Yelena, Bucky, like all those three made sense. The random ones being Ghost, Taskmaster. People personally, I did not care to see again in any type of iteration following the two that they had. Like Ghost was pretty irrelevant, like kind of a bland villain, and so was Taskmaster. And then you kind of think of the idea as like, oh, they're all very similar characters. Like they're all super soldiers. I mean, three out of the four, out of the six, five, I think it was 5 or 6, are all super soldiers, and then the other three are also assassins in some capacity. So there wasn't much variety coming off of this type of team that they wanted to create. But how they kind of form in this movie, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but it all makes perfect sense who they are and kind of how they came together.
I know. And you are right. When I was like, okay, Ghost, all right,
Yeah.
like she was all right, but nothing amazing. But okay, Taskmaster was like that was good, like cool aesthetic, but I think I
Cool
was
costume.
clamoring. Yeah, I wasn't clamoring to get them back. Red Guardian, I was excited to see him back. I thought he was one of the best highlights from Black Widow, and of course, seeing Elena back, that was no brainer. She should have been something. I know she was in Hawkeye. I feel like she should have been in another Marvel movie a lot sooner, but I understand why. Bucky's always welcome at any time, anywhere to get more Buck. And then obviously with John Walker after his little and Captain America and Falcon. Sorry, Falcon and Winter Soldier. It's funny because I look back and I'm like, God, it's been so long since we've seen some of these
Mhm.
characters. Like Ant Man, Ant Man 2 was what 2017.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Um,
Wow. 7, 8 years ago. Holy.
that
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Yeah. So where are we?
2018, I think it was, because it's right after Infinity War.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So 2018 is the last time we saw. Is the last time we saw her. 2021 was the last time we saw Taskmaster, and we saw technically seen Elena and Red Guardian on the big screen. So 4 years later, we get this with the whole entire team, and we also get Bob. Bob's also in this, which originally was meant to go to David Yen.
Steven Yeun.
Sorry, Steven. Why did I say David?
Yeah, cast of Invincible, Walking Dead
Yeah.
legend.
Yep. Because Robert Kirkman, who created Invincible, said in interview, he's like, "Oh, it looks like he's going to be suiting up again in the yellow and blue,"
Mm-hmm.
and he kind of spoiled it.
Yeah, yeah. Because I don't even think at that time it was an official casting, really.
No.
And then a few months later, they made the full cast to Lewis Pullman, I think it was, and I was just like,
Yes.
okay, interesting.
So the reason why was because according to the reports is that he was fine and good to go, but because all the strikes delayed the production to 2024, he had to jump out.
Yeah, I'm sure it messed with his schedule. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, because I think at one point he was even wearing the costume during the tests and everything like that.
Yep.
Well, I'll be honest. I think Pullman is a solid choice. I loved him in this movie. I thought it was fantastic. It was a great introduction to this franchise. Like I actually care about this character, which honestly, with how saturated all the new character introductions are in the MCU, I think this was rewarding. I really do. I think he was a highlight of the movie, and again, we'll talk about it later on and
Yeah.
whatnot, of course. But I think with what he was given, I thought he killed it, and I'm really actually very much looking forward to seeing his character in the upcoming movies as well, and he'll be in Doomsday too.
Yes, he will. I'm very excited to see what he will do in that film. And I do feel for Lewis because the fact that after Thunderbolts, the two biggest roles of your career, you've just been called Bob.
Bob, yeah, Top Gun
For
man,
both of them.
dude.
That's. What you say?
Top Gun Maverick is like one of my most rewatched movies ever, and seeing him come out like so different characters, but always Bob.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Always Bob. Because apparently he did say in an interview, he's like, "Oh, can we change the character's name because?" Oh,
because he just yeah
yeah, and then and apparently they're like, "No, because that is what his character is named. That's what you signed up for."
yeah.
So, but no, and how did like for yourself after watching Captain America? How did that change or make you more nervous coming into this film? Because
Um
Captain America wasn't amazing. It was
yeah,
good,
yeah.
but it was amazing.
Um I'll be honest, I think this one wasn't really on my radar too much. I liked the idea when it was initially announced. And then just kind of seeing what the concept art, what kind of direction they were considering going, the leaks, the rumors, Sentry's going to be involved. How are they going to defeat him? Stuff like that. It just didn't seem, and I'll be honest, all these characters are okay. Like they weren't my favorite. Like Yelena is my favorite, of course. But outside of that, I wasn't just too excited in general. And Captain America, like I was really looking forward to that. I was really hoping we could really get behind a new Sam Wilson as Captain America, really take on a Winter Soldier espionage vibe that they were able to create. What almost 10 years ago? Yeah, 10 years ago at this point. Um, but then the movie was disappointing. It was chaotic. It was a mess. It felt like the studio was overtly involved. It felt like there was three different versions of that film. Like the genuinely did not feel like a Captain America movie. They just had no. It didn't seem like they had any type of direction whatsoever. Um, so yeah, that did make me pretty nervous going into this movie. Not that I wasn't, but then I started hearing all of. I see the trailers. The trailers were a lot of fun. I love the needle drops that they're doing throughout the trailers. Like they were interesting enough. Um, but I'll be lying to say that like I was a little hesitant after Captain America because I genuinely want the MCU to return, come to its full glory, and just the last 5 years have just never felt like what it was, you know,
No,
2018, 2019, which sucks. Or
no,
even before that.
yeah, no. I agree with you. One thing I do hate, which you will see in my Letterboxd review, is that, and I saw people posting it already, and they're like, "Oh, no, this is the best thing since Endgame. Marvel's back." I'm like, "Shut the fuck up!" Like it's. I think people forget that Spider-Man No Way Home is post
Hmm.
Endgame. Shang-Chi is post Endgame. Deadpool Wolverine is post Endgame.
Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like,
Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is post Endgame. So what do you that comment is just it's become too old now.
I don't see what sucks is we're fans. So to us, Marvel has never left. We've just noticed the quality has dropped
Yeah.
significantly with certain films. Like Deadpool and Wolverine, I don't know when the next time I'm going to rewatch that movie. To be honest,
Mm.
I'm already thinking about rewatching Thunderbolts in a couple days.
Yeah. No, I would too. I've watched I think I've watched Deadpool Wolverine again. I think because it was just I found it was just a good time and again seeing Hugh Jackman in the yellow suit just
Hmm.
that just does not get old to me. I know there's aspects of the movie, but just seeing him in the yellow suit is just like
Golden.
golden, yellow.
Yeah. What about you? How are you? How are you in preparation of this movie? What was your excitement level?
I I was more excited to see Elena back above all this and see Red Guardian. Curious to I was curious to see how this is going, especially with the introduction of Sentry, Marvel's Superman, basically. Like, how
Hmm.
is that all going to come about? What does that mean for the Avengers? I was also looking forward to this being more grounded, and I'm not saying well, actually, no, I am. Captain America kind of made me a little bit nervous, saying I really don't hope, I really hope that doesn't happen the same again. Not to mention, I hope again after the, so it was the first Suicide Squad film. You had this ragtag team for street level, and then you verse a mystical beast. It does that, like, it shouldn't have been like that. That's what I mean. Like, hoping they don't go. You've got the wrong team against the wrong enemy
Mm-hmm.
with Sentry. And I also like to say a big shout out to Disney. Thank you so much. I had that complete opportunity to go see this film at the Melbourne premiere this week, which was incredible. I was nearly, I had a small tear in my eye all day. It was just, oh, actually, I probably should just be wearing this.
Yeah, you should put that boy on.
Yeah, slap this on. Like this little thing. It was incredible. We posted the photos on Instagram. It was very much a little childhood thing and big mission from when this podcast very first started back in 2021. And I can't wait for the next one, but it's just so good. Everyone's was so happy. It's like, this is good, isn't it? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is good, but this is actually fucking great. This is incredible.
Yeah.
This is awesome. So thank you so much, Disney Australia and Marvel Australia, for the invite for that one. So please definitely go check the photos on our Instagram. But yeah, so that's I was a little bit nervous going into this, and I would 100% say my expectations for the movie were completely blown out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
The ending, which we will get into, is completely not what I expected.
Right.
That was very left field. Part of me was thinking like, oh, is this going to be another CGI fight, or beam in the sky type of thing? But,
a portal.
Yeah, a portal into the sky, which we've seen nearly in so many superhero films. I thought, and the fact they'd be pleasantly surprised that is not what happens. And if I haven't already said it, we are going to go into spoil territory as well. Is there? Because you really didn't care about John Walker. Would he be the lowest one you didn't care about, or Ghost was the person you really didn't care about?
I was looking forward to John Walker. I was, because I think they ended his character decently well and somewhat on a path of just putting him on that rogue path by the end of Captain America in the Winter Soldier. I don't know what you call it at this point, right? Because Falcon in the Winter Soldier,
Falcon Winter Soldier, and that was 2021 as well. So
Mm-hmm.
we haven't seen some of these characters for nearly 4 to 5 years.
That's what,
So the brief thing into the story is that we see that, and I do like it, that Elena is the main character for this. We see that she's struggling with doing her role after for so long. She's come to accept her sister's death as the Black Widow, but she was finding that she's basically on autopilot doing her jobs going into this. And we see that Fontaine has to quickly get her shit together because of the fact the government's after her with the Ox Group. So basically, they get sent to a facility in the desert to get rid of all the rest of the evidence on the Sentry program and the rest of her little agents, which we do get Elena, we get John Walker, we get Ghost, and we get Taskmaster. Look, I'm going to tell you, my little gripe, my biggest gripe for this movie, there's other gripes, but my biggest gripe, I feel like Taskmaster got the short stick.
I was okay with it.
Really? I thought she should have at least lasted until they saw Sentry, and then he would straight up murder her like that, and the whole team would be like, damn!
Yeah.
But no, just straight bullet, gone.
Yeah. Right. Not even in the first 15 minutes.
Nah, first 10 minutes, and she was in the interviews, she did the marketing material, the posters, everything. I was like, wow.
The trailer was misleading. I think at one point the trailer did show her in one of the shots that was in the Avengers Tower, or that character.
Yep. They did as well. And you did a day's work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest. This was obvious to me. I thought that she was going to bite the bullet at some point. Like you said, the trailers, all the clips never included Taskmaster. You see the trailer so many times, you kind of get an idea of what's going to be the opening shots, what's going to be like, oh, they got hit hard and now they're trying to regain their stance, and how the movie's going to conclude, or what shots are going to be the end, what shots are going to be in the middle. And like right off the bat, as soon as I saw the whole stunt work by Florence Pugh jumping off, what is it, the world's second tower?
Second
Awesome
tallest
scene.
building.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome scene. I knew for a fact that was going to be the opening scene. 100%. And it was a gorgeous shot. It was awesome. Her doing her own stunt work. Amazing. I thought
Yeah.
that was a really cool scene.
Did you see her interview about that?
I didn't see all of it. No.
Oh, she apparently she pestered Kevin
Yeah,
Feige and Marvel,
yeah.
saying, "I want to do it, I want to do it, I want to do it." And apparently at the end they're like, "You can do it, but this is the rules."
Hmm. Yeah, Florence Pugh's a badass. I loved it.
She is, and I'm glad that they did, because it's one of the best shots, and just the way she drops and everything in the entire movie. So, not, I guess it's again coming to the thing that not everything needs to be a CGI or anything like that. Like, just go on location. People can feel it a whole lot more
Hmm.
than what we got, and that's, I know it's a little bit different, but for me, like the Minecraft movie, I found Minecraft movie a little bit jarring. It's like, because it's just so much heavy CGI.
It's all
I
blue
understand,
screen.
yeah, it has to be, but I found a bit like, this is a lot,
Hmm.
a lot. And we know that Marvel's had some issues with CGI.
Yeah, I mean, Captain America, Brave New World is one of them.
Yeah,
But yeah, it was an awesome shot. It was incredible to watch on IMAX too, because I
oh,
don't know
would
if you
it?
had the chance. Yeah, you did get,
No, the premiere was not at IMAX.
yeah, it was an awesome shot. If you have the chance to go see it in IMAX, because I think throughout the movie they do quite a bit of shots that's in IMAX, which I really appreciated. But yeah, it was just an awesome opening scene. Great introduction to her as a character. Because I think the last time we saw her was Hawkeye, which I think was 22.
Yeah, it was. It was the last time she had that scene with Bucky, with Hawkeye, him explaining everything what happened with her death, and then she went on to her own journey. And we can
Yep.
see that she's just thrown herself back into work and what she's doing, and she's now working for Fontaine.
Hmm. That's right. Yeah, and I think at one point DeFontaine sent her to go kill Clint, like
She
at the
did.
beginning of the show.
Yeah, because it was the after credit scene of
Black
Black
Widow.
Widow, actually.
Yep.
Black Widow, and she said that I'll tell you who killed her.
Yeah.
Which again,
Yeah.
I can't remember. Going back, I can't remember why she wanted
There's
to
no
kill
reason.
Hawkeye.
No,
Yeah,
she's just a villain, I guess. I don't know. But
yeah,
jumping over to Taskmaster, I think it to me it was like Disney kind of listening to the fans. I think Taskmaster was a really cool villain just in general, like in the comics. The trailers of Black Widow, like cool concept. The costume was
yeah.
sick. Like everything was like I was super excited for that villain just to see him get fleshed out, and really was pumped for him. And then Black Widow happened, and I just thought, oh, they kind of just butchered this character, completely changed everything, which makes sense. The MCU is not the comics. We know this. They're doing different iterations. That's fine. But it was just something that I was like, they had the chance here, but then they went in that direction. So this is what they're kind of cleaning up essentially from what Black Widow is what's coming off as.
Pretty much, and it's a shame because the whole concept of Taskmaster, literally a villain that copies every hero's fighting style, ironically cannot copy Deadpool because he's too erratic and they can't
Mhm.
predict his abilities. But someone that, if you got Taskmaster against Captain America, ideally Taskmaster would beat Captain America.
Mhm. Or they just keep
So,
fighting.
okay, or you keep fighting, or Bucky. Like, that's a cool concept. It's just a shame that, yeah, pretty much just straight to the face, boom, like just dropped right there.
Yeah, I'm glad it was Ghost who did it as well, because I think
Yeah.
Yelena. I don't think Yelena would have killed her. Easy. No.
No, no. Because probably pull back again. Essentially, Thunderbolts is a sequel to Black Widow. Out of all the MCU movies, this is probably the most sequel
I would
going
agree.
across. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yes, we see that Taskmaster dies, and then in the same scene, I do like what I do like about that scene as well is that it does a great ability of showing everyone's abilities.
Hmm.
Elena against Ghost, Ghost against John Walker, and showing their different abilities and how they attack and their skill set.
Yeah, and I think it's a great scene because it just introduces them all working for DeFontaine, as well as they're all exactly the same character. They're all assassins doing her dirty work essentially.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just being which Fontaine, I do like because the last time we saw Fontaine was in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Was the last time
Yes,
we saw her. She's very much becoming, basically the full opposite of Nick Fury.
very, yeah, just popping up everywhere, but for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, for the wrong reasons. Like when you pop up, you're like, oh, something's gonna go to shit.
Yeah, married.
Not, yeah, like oh, you're not gonna be quite handy at all. But no, we see that, and then we get introduced to Bob for the first time. Which we know it's Sentry, but we get introduced to Bob, who just wakes up and he's just like, "Oh, hey, how you going?
Hmm.
My name's Bob. My name is Jeff."
Hmm.
Going into that, and what I like about his character is like it's funny because if you weren't watching if you don't know about the comics, you would go look at him. And be, how are you, Sentry? Like, how are you,
Yeah.
Marvel Superman?
Hmm. Just a normal guy.
Just a normal guy, and we get a great scene with them all get out, work together, get out of this massive base. We also do get glimpses of what happens when Bob touches everybody with their past,
Hmm.
which Elena's past. I must admit, I'm like, wow. Okay, Marvel, we just have this repeat scene of this girl getting shot.
Yeah. I don't think this movie holds back on its dark scenes while still at the same time maintaining this tone throughout the whole movie where it's not completely dark, if that makes sense. Like there's the emotional bits hit, it's dark when it is, but then it doesn't.
Mm.
I feel like it doesn't completely take over the movie.
No, no. The amount of the emotional weight of the scenes is great, and the comedic timing of everybody. Everyone seemed to work on point. Like none of the
Hmm.
jokes felt forced, or it actually just made sense. I did note jumping forward because it's at the top of my head, just with John Walker with Sentry being like, "He turned my shield into a taco."
Hmm. Yeah.
And then that's where we get into with Bucky's introduction scene, which felt so Terminator 2 esque scene, Winter Soldier vibes, that entire bit.
Yeah. I that whole bit I hate was ruined in the trailers. I feel like
Yeah,
I had an entire like that scene would have been so freaking cool to see on the screen for the first time and not a trailer.
it would have been. I know. It would have been. And that's Bucky ending his career as congressman after 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months. I think that's so funny. He couldn't handle it right
Yeah,
off the
no.
bat.
Yeah.
But going back going back to the vault, the thing that I loved right off the bat is they just throw us right into this story. Like they were
Yeah.
not spending half an hour to build up anything. This is in the first 15 minutes. We get introduced to all these characters, which we knew were going to come. It's like the Guardians. It took, at least a half an hour before all the characters were surrounded by each other. I think,
That
but
sounds
I'm
about right. Yeah.
not entirely sure. But yeah, and then their chemistry right off the bat is just it's fast, it's quick. They don't like each other. They
Mm.
just want to get out, and it just throws us into this story rather quickly, which I
Yeah.
appreciated. We know these characters, we know who they are. We don't need to know exactly what all of them are up to. Yelena being our main character makes the most sense.
Mm.
But I think we had, what, 2 to 3 scenes before we are thrown right into the vault scene. And yeah,
Pretty much, basically Fontaine, a little bit what she's been up to, and then we get the scene between Red Guardian and Elena at his apartment as well. We find out that he hasn't spoken to her over in a year.
mhm. Yeah, I think we're now chronically linked with their timeline. So like, so what? 2018 is when the blip happened.
Yes.
They did, and we know, oh, maybe we're a year ahead. And the blip happened, whatever. They came back 5 years later. That takes us to what, 2023, maybe
Yes.
2024 ish, early on. And then what is it? Yelena goes work for Valentina right up off the bat, and then
Mm.
a year happens, and here we are. So I feel like we're right, right where we should be in the timeline.
10%. After Deadpool Wolverine doesn't really, that could be
Yeah, that's
whenever.
whatever.
That's whenever. But after Cap 4 with this, the timelines, I think timelines very is going lining up. Obviously, technically it'll be the same timeline for Fantastic Four
Hmm.
because I don't think they're going to go back or forward in time. They're literally going to jump dimensions, so it'll be at the same time. And then, dude, can you fathom the fact that it's less than 12 months? The fact we're going to get Avengers Doomsday,
No, no, no.
and I will do everything in my power, and I think I will cry if I do get the invite to go to the premiere for Avengers Doomsday. Like just being at a premiere for an Avengers movie.
Insane.
It's
Yeah,
cool.
that'd be incredible.
Yeah.
They're up to so many characters with Avengers Doomsday. I think that's my worry is we know what they handled in Infinity War, which was amazing. You know, I think we're looking at what, 30 to 40 characters then. But they also forget they introduced almost what, like 50 plus characters in just a few
Yeah.
years easily, and all
Yeah.
of them are superheroes.
Yeah.
So how they're going to be able to handle 70 different characters, like that's my biggest worry. Is just, are we getting too big now? Like, I don't need to see every single character. Like Ant-Man, do I need to see him again anytime soon?
Yeah, you do.
Mm,
You
yeah,
want to see it, man. Well, that's the thing is, I do. Apparently, the announced cast that they gave still isn't the full cast.
yeah. I
It's
think
still
actually one of the producers just announced like about 15 others today that are coming back
shit.
within the last, I think, like 3 to 4 hours,
Oh
which included like all the Marvels. I think it was a couple more X-Men, like Phoenix is reprising her role.
yeah, I heard about
Um,
that. Yeah.
and then just a couple other random characters like Wong, Doctor Strange. No Spider-Man yet.
No, that's like no, that's what I find interesting. Is no Spider-Man, so I'm guessing it's going to be like we're going to get Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is going to explain what is probably going to be set before Avengers Doomsday, and that will lead him to whatever he's doing and be doing in Doomsday, or lead him into going to Secret Wars.
Mhm.
Yeah, or we get the black suit Tom Holland Spider-Man too. Um, but pulling back, going back to Thunderbolts is the quip. Everyone like we just get those two scenes, and you're right. And I do like the fact that hey, here's the team. Let's just go into it. You don't need a whole bunch of backstory. If you want the backstory, you know where to go into Disney Plus. Go watch the 5 movies and 2 TV shows you need to watch to bring up to speed for these characters. And then, because actually, think about it, you just need to watch Black Widow,
Falcon and the
uh,
Winter Soldier,
Falcon
Ant-Man
Winter
and the
Soldier,
Wasp.
Ant-Man the Wasp, and Hawkeye.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah,
Maybe
I
Black
was right.
Panther, Wakanda Forever, if you include Valentina
Ah,
backstory, I
yeah.
guess.
Okay, yes. Which we got a little bit of backstory for her, though I didn't think I was like, I don't know if I need this, but okay.
Yeah, with her past relationship.
Yeah. I was a bit like, thank you, but okay.
Yeah.
Um, so they get it away. Bucky grabs them. Fantine grabs Sentry after what happens at the vault, which we get to find out that he's invincible and he can fly like Superman. And we get to see her that she's trying to turn him into Sentry. She's got the suit ready and everything. And we finally, after Spider-Man Homecoming, we finally find out who bought the Avengers Tower. That was
2017.
Yeah, 2017. We finally found out who bought the Avengers Tower. Yay. And we get to see the team in front of Sentry in his iconic suit. How did you feel seeing Sentry in his comic book accurate suit, actually?
I thought it was sick. I mean, I think they need to readdress the whole lines that they're doing with all their suits. Make it maybe a couple. I'm okay with that. But I feel like they're so scared to with the simplicity of some of these suits. Um, and just they're adding the lines to create more texture and not make something so kiddish or boring or even just silly in all the aspects. Like Spider-Man's original suit in Homecoming has like all these extra lines down the suit and everything like that. But I thought it looked clean, it looked sick. His blonde hair was different, it was a choice. Didn't love it. Didn't love it. I'm happy it went back to brown at the end.
I did like that with Ghost. It was like, did you dye your hair?
Yeah. And just like the not even the 12 hours that he spent with Valentina. I thought that bit was kind of interesting, is how quick he got control of his powers or understood some of his powers, was able to control the void at some point, or at least enough to fight, I guess, or not let it unleash on everyone as soon as he touches them.
How did you feel about the fight scene?
Awesome. I loved it. I thought, this is now the second. First, the MCU was able to do great with the speedsters, like the Flash with Makari, and now they just did Superman better than the DCEU with Sentry. So we're 2 for 2 now. Very similar characters, but the MCU doing it better. I thought it was incredible, and you could tell he was holding back the entire time. But it was just awesome. And you got to see the multitude of different powers he has, the telekinesis. I think it's some type of like heat vision or ray, not vision, some type of heat power. Because at one point, I think he melted a gun that was pointed right at his face.
At his hand, melted that.
Yeah. The speed.
You're right. And I thought the same thing. I'm like, this is what should happen when a team of average people, you know what I mean, go up against Superman. This is what it should look like. It should show him holding back and straight up beating everybody.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, no questions. And you got to remember, these are all super soldiers, or at least 3 out of the 5 are. So like you would think they'd be able to land at least one blow remotely, because they're so strong. But no, not even a flinch, nothing like that. Him ripping off Bucky's arm and just finishing off with that one hit. I felt.
How do you think he would have gone against the Hulk? Which I know is a timeless debate whether or not the Hulk versus Superman, but
he's gonna win. I think he's gonna win. I mean, the Hulk has lost to Thor.
Yes.
Give or take.
And he lost to Thanos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think Sentry could match Thor's power easily.
Well, I did like that comment. He's like, "You're basically a god." Well, Thor's a god, so I could take on Thor. He's like,
well, yeah. I mean, and I'm glad we got to see one scene where his abilities were on full blast. Like if we didn't wait till the movie, the last 10-15 minutes where we got to see his powers. Like this was, I think, the middle point of the movie where we get to see it on full blast. And I thought honestly, that was probably the best fight scene throughout the movie, which was great. But we did have some great ones in the vault, both of them. I think, there was 2 of them. But I thought,
scene too.
Yep, the Bucky scene, and for what this was worth, I thought it was excellent. Great introduction to Sentry as the character of Bob, stepping
Yep.
into that role as it is. But I thought it was great.
No, I fully agree. And this leads into what I think one of the best marketing campaigns that Marvel has done with the movie. Because initially when we seen all the trailers and we saw the fact Sentry was all black and white, you would assume, oh, okay, they're just blocking out his character because you don't want to see what he's going to look like in the suit. They want a big reveal, that's what we're going to get. And looking, going, no, that is legit what it is in the movie.
Yeah, very well done, might I add. Like you could still see, like it was dark enough to where he was an entire silhouette, but at different movements, you could see like the outline of his chin or his shoulder, even a little bit. I thought it was perfect.
Yes, and then the piercing eyes, that was just really creepy. The
Hmm.
piercing white eyes, I was like, that is creepy.
But
Creepy, and it. Oh, sorry, go on.
what did you think of the fight scene? Like, let's get that rundown in.
The fight
It's
scene when he
with
versus the team.
Century. Yep.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I agree. Like as I said, like that's exactly what should happen to a team of super soldiers or assassins, average people, Joes. If you go against Superman, I thought that was cool. I do how they look basically like, oh, we're effed, we're screwed. We can't touch him. Like no one landed a blow on him, not even close. And Bob was just like, yeah, it's like another day at the office.
Hmm.
This is pretty easy. And of course, we get into the scene with how Valentine's like, "Oh, I'm gonna blow your brain." I'm like, "Well, that's not gonna go very well, is it?"
Yeah. So, does he die? Do we know that? Like, did he die at some capacity, or did it just unleash the void?
I think it unleashed the void. I don't think he died, but I think it unleashed the void, which we get to see from that scene. We get to see him basically become the void, start breaking helicopters, which leads to Thunderbolts saving people. Which I love those saving scenes because that really formed the team. And we get Elena going on, going, what can we do? Like we're screwed. And then we
Uh,
know which. Oh, sorry.
going back just a couple scenes before this,
Oh,
they have a great scene of them. They're outside the building. They've all got slammed. They got crushed. They know it's not their fight. They know they have no chance, and they all dissipate or whatever. Essentially, like the team's breaking up. Like in
yeah,
Scooby Doo
yeah.
at the first scene of Scooby Doo, everyone fighting and going their own ways, right? Um,
That's a good reference. You're right. Yeah, like I'm
yeah,
done. I'm
yeah,
done with the team.
yeah. It's pretty much yeah. Like Ghost immediately disappears, and I think
Yeah,
there's this wonderful scene that is just I think like transcendent between Florence Pugh as an actor and really
and Red
fleshed
Guardian.
out fleshed out
Mm.
Yelena as a character,
That
like just
that was
truly
literally. I was gonna say that was literally the next scene I was going to talk about. It was
yeah,
that at the front and
yeah,
center.
just truly hitting home the mental illness all these characters have, the emptiness, the void that they feel, the helplessness, like there's just not a lot of purpose. And I think her scene was just awesome. It was great to watch. Like it brought a tear to my eye with how great her acting was and how lost she is as a character. Like you said, she's on autopilot. Nothing
Mm.
nothing is like fun for her anymore. And she's ripping Red Guardian apart by saying it's been a year, like why don't you want to talk to me, like stuff like that. And they have this really heartfelt moment, and it was just I was like, wow, like this hits home. And you know what, it was a minute long or a couple minutes long, and it elevated the story so much.
It did. And this is why I think this is what Stan Lee has said, and this is why I always, yes, I'm a big Batman fan. Yes, I have a giant Batman tattoo on me. And this is what I always like about Marvel is I find that their characters done right just show how more human they are
Hmm.
compared to DC, gods and monsters. we see these characters, and we've felt like different times you have felt like Elena, you felt like Red Guardian, you felt like Captain, like Walker, like you're not good enough, you've stuffed up, you're stuffing up this as well. So, and that's what I think is the great aspect of this movie is that you really do feel for these characters because you've felt these different moments, especially Bob.
Mhm.
Especially how Bob feels. At first we were like, oh, he's just a drug addict. He's just a meth addict. He's just doing this. And then we get the void. We find out his backstory and how messed up he is as well. And you're right. And we get that scene between Red Guardian and Elena is great. And that's what needed to happen between those two characters.
There's so many just wonderful small moments throughout this movie that are very minimal. They're like 30 seconds to a minute long, but provide so much more emotional depth that I think is super rewarding for these characters as a whole. Like just the one scene of Walker in the void and just or getting touched by Bob, and just a 30-second clip of what he's staring at his phone. His family life isn't too great or anything like that. And then we learn later on that his wife and husband, not wife and son left him essentially. And even that tiny moment where he made that remark, and you felt that a little bit too with Yelena being surprised. So I think that's what's great is they offer so many minimal, and to me they seem easy. Like they seem like a no-brainer. Like why aren't we doing more of these movies that dive more into these characters as a whole? Like why aren't we doing these? This is a very character heavy story, and I think we really just dive into everything with them.
No, and I agree. And I did see a couple of comments that people were like, why didn't we get like a bit of backstory of Bucky, or why didn't we get one of Ghost? And I thought, and my thing was, Bucky doesn't need. We know how messed up he is. We know his history. He doesn't need like when he tells us that he's got a messed up history as a fan. Like, yeah, we know. We don't need to see your backstory. And Ant-Man and the Wasp, we got the backstory of Ghost and how messed up her child is. The fact that you have your entire body is completely shifting and not collapsing.
Mm-hmm. Like even Bucky, I feel like him and the group, he's probably the most healed out of all of them, because we have him in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that they already did that arc with him, right? Like he already was able to forgive himself and kind of give himself a second chance. But seeing it, comparing it to the other characters, very different.
Yeah, no, we needed to see with the rest of the cast more so than Bucky or Ghost, because they've had their time. Even though like Ghost only got one movie, the whole movie is basically her because she's the villain.
What do you think of her as a character? Because to me, she was probably the least fleshed out of the group. Bucky's tough because we know all of his past and everything they'd done in the previous movies, but he didn't have a whole lot of screen time either. But Ghost, I think, was like the least focused on, and I still walked away thinking like, oh, she's cool.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm like, she's cool. I thought the comedic bits that she did with everybody was good. I did like that scene when I think they're coming up the shaft, and she's like, "Oh," and Walker's like, "Your suit's so uncomfortable." He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. The suit that holds my body together isn't comfortable for you." No, I think she's good, and I think it really showed that how dangerous, like, really her powers are when you go up against a fight with her, and how unpredictable she can be.
Yeah, like the minute long that she can phase or something like that, and then after that,
and a question that with other people that can phase, or like Nightcrawler, it's like, oh, why don't you just phase us out of here? It's like, I could phase and I'd be trapped under a dirt and suffocate. Like,
yep,
fair point.
And
all right,
her powers even at some point kind of cloaked or looked very similar to like invisibility powers. Like at one point she was like in front of a character and then she would be next to the character or something like that. Like it was kind of like teleporting, which I thought was cool.
Much. Technically she's a teleporter, but phasing. But no, I thought I think Red Guardian, I'm like, pretty much everything he came out of his mouth was fucking hilarious. Like, we are the Thunderbolts. We are the Wheaties box. I was like, have you slept? Nope. I'll sleep when I die. I'm like, I would like not to die. Um,
I'll be honest. I did not think a lot of these comedic moments landed for me personally. Um, and I think most of that is so focused on this type of story and what they're introducing with these characters, and um, that's what I connected with more. Like, and the jokes that they did do, they're very subtle. They weren't obnoxious like they were in Deadpool and Wolverine, for example. I mean, but
mm,
that's Deadpool as a character. But there was definitely more jokes in like Captain America, even just comparing this. But I thought that they didn't always land with me. But yeah, that's just kind of something that stuck with me. That usually the Marvel jokes do land with me, but in this
mm,
case, I felt like the humor was a little died down a little bit for this.
mm. Not as much, but we do have Wolfest. Sorry if covered already as joining late. What's the thoughts on how they got out of the void? They made my rating go from 8 to 6.5 because it was just a bit meh, lack of context, and cheap.
Cheap.
Cheap. Well, I think the reason they got out of the void was because Bob realized the fact that the camaraderie that he wasn't alone, and he didn't kill the void, but he dispersed the void.
Yeah, something like that. I think the whole traveling to different rooms is different. It was fun. Like I thought that was great.
That
Um,
was shot good. I like that. That was shot good. And the scene with Elena looking at Elena, like that was cool. That seriously when you go touch her, pretty much just whooped her ass right there. Was like,
mhm,
I'm you.
yeah, but as a whole, like getting out of the void and just this is Bob. He feels alone. He has the added mental illness. He has his alter ego trying to get him to consume to the darkness essentially, and
Mm,
who's able to pull him out is his friends, his new family, essentially, the
mm,
people who
mm,
actually like he actually feels cared about. He has no family. They say multiple times he's traveling throughout Southeast Asia just to find meaning in life, essentially, or the drugs, of course.
mm,
But for once in his lifetime, he has people that like genuinely care about him and want to be there for him. And I think
mm,
that only just replicates even more of just the overall theme of this movie, and even adding to the whole him forgiving himself too. Of um, yeah, there's just I think there's so many emotional elements that to me personally I think work, and they're so different than the typical CGI battle that we have constantly. I mean, you're at 36 movies. We need to start changing it up a bit. I mean, but then you look at this and you compare it to something like Captain America: Brave New World, where they did kind of like talk down Red Hawk, but I like back then over there completely lame. I think that's like not to me that wasn't that movie didn't deserve that type of ending. But something like this, where it's all built up on the mental illness, the forgiving yourself, the acceptance. I think it worked out perfectly in my eyes.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I think it was earned, and with the way if this rating had a if this is more of like an MA rating or like a little bit more like the boys, I feel like the way Bob was laying into the void, I did think like, well, there should have been blood in this. The way he was wailing down there should have been like not the void, but like there would have been blood. The
Mhm.
way he was just hammering him down. I'll say Wolf, which the ruse was great, but it was more lack of explanation how these guys pulling him off Sentry got them out. I love the mental illness coverage, but I just don't get how they got rid of the void in New York.
Yeah, I think it was essentially that they were pulling Bob. Like they were pulling Bob, not Bob. Yeah, Bob.
Yeah, Bob.
Essentially,
They're pulling Bob.
they were pulling Bob into this idea of control, essentially, of this void. They were pulling him out of the void. They were giving him more, giving him his life back, essentially.
Yeah, and getting him to wake up, like yeah, not so much depression, like getting him snap out of it, like you do. Don't bury it too much, but you do have a life, and because he snapped out of it, the void could not expand from his body into what was happening around New
Hmm.
York. And I also, which we didn't mention, the way people getting sucked into the void was so creepy.
Insane.
And did you hear about the comment about Hiroshima?
Hmm.
I'm like, when I read that, I'm like, that adds a whole nother level to this movie of them
Hmm.
disappearing. It has given me a whole new aspect. When I go back and watch that scene, I'm just gonna be like, damn.
Yeah, I think them getting snapped to the void, I thought was sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it also offers us not having a full explanation. It also offers us another opportunity to explore the void later on in other movies. We know the void; he's not gone. Sentry's still there. I think at this point, it's like we're looking at potentially three alter egos. I'm not entirely sure, but there is more room and opportunity for us to explore the void later on. I think it was more so just Bob reclaiming his life again, that
Yes.
he wasn't consumed so much of the loneliness of what the void only exploits.
No, and that's right. Which we've also got. Wolf, I appreciate your insight. Anytime, man, you can come back. Anytime to come back to the podcast. I still think it seemed a bit odd because surely Sentry slash the Void could have just carried on causing havoc. Havoc. Overall, good film. Agree with most of your points. Roll on to Doomsday because, like, I must admit, seeing Sentry go up against Doom, like peak power Doom, I'm gonna be like, this is amazing. This is just incredible. This is gonna be awesome. But sorry, going back to everyone who didn't know, the director did mention that the way people were disappearing in the void and getting sucked into the void was meant to um, was inspired of like how people's shadows were in Japan when Hiroshima dropped. That you could see their shadows, or basically their bodies, essentially were basically became these black outlines, which is incredible. And I didn't think about that, but just adding that just adds another layer to it. And you do feel for, like, for example, Red Guardian, where he saves a little girl and he's all happy, and then
Yeah.
boom,
As
she's
soon as
gone.
as soon as they put that shot on her, I was like, "Oh wait, it's gonna happen," and then it did, and I was like, "Oh damn it,
Yeah,
this is too hard."
yeah. And she's gone
Yep.
right there.
But
And how do you feel about the twist at the ending? With, like, they'll be like, "Oh no, we're gonna come and kill you, Fontaine. We're coming after you," and then, "Hey, welcome to the new team."
she was smooth with it. I loved it. She
So
was like, as soon as she realized, she's like, "Oh, my guy is a bad guy. He's a villain. Let's see." And then the whole idea of them saving the civilians, awesome scene, by the way. We don't see that enough in the MCU, where
no,
civilians are there. We because of just like the last I was watching Avengers a couple weeks ago, and the amount of civilian damage and casualties and consequences are so apparent in that movie. I felt like we never really see that kind of moving on replicated a whole ton throughout the MCU. So being able to see that, and each character like having their own moments of saving our civilians, and just superheroes doing hero things, is just it was great to watch. And I was like, wow, this is the moment we're taking. This is the scene that's getting fleshed out right now. I love this. This is fantastic.
100% loved it. And you're right, it does. They don't show that enough. And, like, well, I guess in Avengers, Age of Ultron, I guess they did a little bit.
Hmm.
Obviously, Infinity War and Endgame, they didn't really, because it was very much off-world or empty. Um, Oh, here we go. Wolfist theory. Doom will use Sentry as a weapon in Doomsday. Also, how do you think Loki will be used in Doomsday? God of stories. So surely he's bringing this Tony Stark variant back to cause such mayhem. Uh Okay, that's about a three-part question right there. Uh, do you, I don't know if Doctor Doom's going to take over Sentry as a bad guy.
I
It's
could see
possible.
it potentially happening. I don't think they would do something like that based off what we just got in this movie of
Yeah,
him kind of overcovering that darkness that he has inside of him, or at least enough to where the void isn't completely taken over.
yeah. I don't see that happening. Just yeah, like because we're what we just got in Thunderbolts. But I do see that Doctor Doom will go straight up to Loki and beat the shit out of him to get his powers. Uh,
Yeah.
the ghost stories of surely he's bringing this Tony Stark variant back to cause such mayhem. Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know how the whole Tony Stark and Doctor Doom. I think the whole timeline is that this is going to be very much what happens if Tony went the opposite direction.
Yeah, I think honestly, I have my theories. I don't think any of them are legitimate or anything like that. Honestly, I just find it very hard to wrap my brain around bringing Tony Stark and back, or bring in Robert Downey Jr. back, and how he's going to be incorporated as Doctor Doom. Like at this point, it's just no point to me. It's just no point in theorizing because I just don't think. I think it's going to be completely different than what we think it is.
I agree.
No, knowing the Russo bros, I think we can expect a lot of things or try to think what's going to happen, but I think it's still going to be a complete 180 on ourselves and still be different than what we thought was going to happen.
I think so as well. I think they're gonna whatever theory we have about Doctor Doom is going to be thrown out the door, or you've only got like little tidbits of what
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing is going to be
You know,
with that. But yes, yeah, and we also get the official. If we find out what the asterisks meant, we have Thunderbolts, the new Avengers. The new name,
new
yeah,
Avengers list.
the new Avengers. That we do. I do love that, and I do love how we got the little yeah, outro over them on like different newspapers of like, can we trust them? Who are they? You know, what's going to happen with them? I did
The
like,
B Avengers.
yeah, the B Avengers. And I think as a film as a whole, I think they did a great job with this. The mission statement was very clear. It was fantastic. Also, Wolves, cool chat, guys. Listening from UK, 3:45 m. Excited to see the next couple film. Soft reboot to come to the end of Secret Wars with Doom and Strange working together is Michael Strange to die also.
I think Doctor Strange 3 is for sure happening. Um,
Yes. Doctor Strange
so
3.
I won't necessarily think he will die. Um,
No.
and I don't know if he'll necessarily work with Doom as well.
But
Again,
thank you for listening from the UK though.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
3:45 a.m. is nuts. You wouldn't catch me
Yeah.
dead at 4 a.m. awake at 4 a.m.
Well, everyone, we know what time Zach listens to this podcast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
I lost my train of thought. Oh wait,
Oh,
no. I like at the end though. They show us all their faces of just complete like, what did we just like shock? Essentially, like we get a tidbit earlier that Yelena wanted to be more at the upfront of the public, essentially,
yes.
kind of stepping into that hero role, rather than doing something behind the scenes or being someone's pawn, essentially. But then they're all of them complete utter shock. Like, oh great, what did we just sign up for? We were just
Yeah.
gonna take Valentina down, and the little bit, we own you now. Awesome.
Yeah, no. We own you now. Yes. I do like, and it's going back. I forgot to, actually, this just came into my mind. I forgot, like, when Regalian says to Elena, you know, your sister understood that higher calling, which is why she became an Avenger,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought was a great line, and it reminds you of just how important Black Widow was throughout the MCU in her time,
Mm-hmm.
from
I think,
2011 to 2021.
and I feel like Yelena grew as a character just in this movie enough to kind of step into that role as well. I think she was able to find her people. She was able to give herself some more purpose than probably what she was expecting. Um, and yeah, I'm excited. I think it was. She's been my favorite character in this new phase. She's charming. She's Florence Pugh is fantastic. She's everywhere too. Like she feels like the new Iron Man, kind of Captain America character. That's kind of as a good character to put at the center. Like she's a good character to lead, to be in the Avengers. Like I think she's perfect. And I think they did a fantastic job with making her the lead because she's always been this supporting character and all of the previous projects. But I don't think it could have been more perfect. I think them going all in on Yelena is a great call on their point. And I just really hope they do that with, like Shang-Chi, even She-Hulk. I think She-Hulk going in on she's a great character. Terrible show. I hated this show. But I think there's a lot of potential with a character like She-Hulk, even going and throwing all the eggs into the basket of like Doctor Strange, Spider-Man. I think there's so many new characters we can work with that I think will be great.
Could not agree more, and I can't wait to see Elena interacting with the rest of the Avengers.
Mhm.
Like Captain, Bucky, even the old X-Men that are all coming back. I'm like, oh, like that's just gonna be so good to seeing all these characters interact and seeing her that she's gonna be on the Avengers team. Well, at the moment they're on Avenge Z, because
Copyrighted.
copyright because we get into the after credit scene, which we find out that Bucky has his own new Avengers team. Sorry, Wilson has his own Avengers team. He doesn't want to join the two teams together, and he's not happy about it.
Yeah, cool suits by the way. At the end, I think
Yes.
Bucky having an awesome suit. Walker with that weird hat. I think that's so funny.
Yeah.
Explain this. Why the fuck is his shield still a taco in the end credits? This is supposedly 14 months later.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's right. Yeah.
Why?
Why
Should
it's
it,
still a
like
taco?
yeah, I hate that. Like you're telling me in 14 months they couldn't have given him a new shield.
No, and that's probably one of the side points. I did see one comment someone made was, "Where's Red Guardian's shield?"
Does he have a shield?
He had a shield in Black Widow. It was the red and actually no, did he have pretty sure Red Guardian, Red Guardian, Red Guardian. Pretty sure he did. Oh, maybe he didn't. Oh no, it was. Oh no, he was using the shield from Taskmaster. Sorry, that was the shield. Yeah, but in the comics, he has his own shield. It's like white and red.
Gotcha. I mean, everyone has their own shield at this point. I mean, 3 out of the characters, like Taskmaster, Walker, and now Red Guardian. Yeah.
Yep, all got their own. So 14 months later, we see the team, we see what they're going about, and that after credit scene got spoiled to me, but you'll never guess how.
Go for it.
So, wasn't TikTok? Wasn't the back news? Wasn't anything like that? As the credits were rolling, I was looking at the music because I was wondering what all the songs were.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah, the last song says Fantastic Four theme. I was like, oh. I'm guessing that's what the craft credit scene is.
Yeah, I remember seeing that too, and I was like, because we're in the IMAX, and I don't know if you've seen they're doing like a Fantastic Four themed IMAX countdown now, or
really?
with certain Marvel movies. They did it with Captain America, and now they did it with this as well. I don't, an IMAX movie, they go 10, 9. Yeah, but they have like this Fantastic Four theme to it, which is really cool. So that's what I thought that music was in relation to, but I was complete. Yeah. But seeing it in the end credit scene insane. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, this is probably the most important end credit scene we've seen in the last 5 to 7 years since Avengers Endgame. Like, it adds so much clarity, so much hope for the franchise itself. Because I feel like we've just been all over the place and have just really zero direction on where we're going off into the King storyline, now having to deviate to Doom kind of thing. So many different directions that it just never felt like a fully fleshed out universe that they did so well at creating in the first 10 years.
Mm.
um and and now we're seeing right off that just the four, that's all we needed, that enough to know, like, we're finally going into the right direction, the direction that fans have been hoping for easily the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. Huh. I know. And when I saw that, I was like, "Hey, this is." I'm like, okay. I was like, okay. So they're going to be doing the same thing they did with Captain Marvel, where at the end of Infinity War, we got the little tidbit of Captain Marvel, and then we got the Captain Marvel movie, which was the prequel. It leads straight into Avengers Endgame. So they're going to be doing the same thing with the Fantastic Four, going into Avengers Secret Wars. So the fact that we were all up to speed, you know why they're all connected.
Yeah, and these end credit scenes are actually like chronological. Like, this, they're doing a
Yeah.
Fantastic Four end credit scene 3 months, 2 months before their movie comes out. You know how brilliant that is? Like,
Yes.
like you said, you bring it up in the Endgame. They did the Captain Marvel end credit scene, and then the next movie was Captain Marvel. Like, it makes so much sense. And I feel like we're not back. I'm going to say that right now. We're not entirely back. Everyone's been saying we're back. That's not it. I think we're on the right track, but
Yeah.
it's starting to feel like we're back on the right. We're riding the right wave. Essentially, we're back. We're in a good flow to be heading in that direction.
Yeah. And that's why I said at the start of this episode that what the current trajectory of the next Marvel movies is looking fantastic. No pun intended. And I keep thinking of when they first announced the Fantastic Four film and we just got that blue logo
John
and
Watts as the director.
yeah, and thinking, wow, that's so far away. Oh, and like that's so far away when that's out. And now it's in 2 months, 2.5 months. We're here. We're at the Fantasy Four. The trailer looks good. The casting is fantastic. And it really gives me X-Men First Class vibes being
Hmm.
set in that time period. And I have no doubt. I think they're going to hit that out of the park again. I think
Yeah,
that's going to be great.
yeah, I think so too. It really does excite me for Fantastic Four. I was already excited for Fantastic Four because it's so different
Yeah.
from everything they're doing, and I love the marketing team. They're killing it with the marketing for this movie. They're giving us subtle tidbits here and there, but the whole atmosphere of this movie, their city, they're giving off the Jetsons vibe essentially.
Mm.
Um, I think it's just so unique and different. It's so much fun, and the fact that this end credit scene showed us their ship um, in our main universe too. Awesome. Like, that skips an entire plot line we don't need to see, or we can barely touch on it in Fantastic Four. We don't need the whole, oh, they landed in our dimension 3 movies later. No, they're in our dimension rather quickly.
Yeah, they're in our dimension, and they're in our dimension, and then we're gonna have them with the Thunderbolts. We're gonna have them with Thor. We're gonna have them with Shang-Chi. We're gonna have them with Captain America. They're all gonna be lining up straight into the Avengers Doomsday, and I highly doubt the Fantastic Four is not going to be good. It's
Hmm.
for me, what just sucks, but is also great at the same time, is that I know the premiere for this is going to be outstanding. Yet I'll be watching this in Italy.
Rough. Oh
Yeah,
man, that's rough.
yeah. So I'm like, I'm excited to go away, but at the same time, I'm like,
Damn it. Like, damn it. Hey, you deserve the trip. You definitely deserve the trip.
Yes. Thank you. So
I'm
I can't. I just have to make sure that when I go watch the movie over there, that it says uh, showing in the original country of origin.
I'm calling it now. I think Fantastic Four is probably going to end with their dimension, like Galactus eating their Earth or whatever. I think their whole universe is going to get destroyed, and then that gets, as a result, them pushed into our dimension.
Yeah, I think so too, and that's where we're going to set up. They're probably. I don't know if there'll be a Baxter building in our dimension. Like I don't think we're going to get that. But I assume that they'll have a new headquarters, some sort of fashion with a giant four or something like that. It just won't be called the Baxter Building.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
That's fine by me.
so don't need that. But yeah, this is a great launching point straight into Fantastic Four, which is just right around the corner. It is right around the corner, and I was looking last night. So now there is on the current projection, like as I mentioned earlier, we have the Fantastic Four coming in July, Avengers Doomsday that's May next year, Spider-Man Brand New Day in July, Avengers Secret Wars in May 2027. But it is noted that there is two release dates locked in by Disney for two Marvel films that are meant to come out on Feb 13th and November 6th next year. So there's meant to be next year we'll have about 4 Marvel movies if that doesn't change.
What are the dates again? Sorry.
Feb 13th and
Oh yeah.
November 6th next year.
There's no way that Feb 13th one is happening. That's
No,
going to get delayed.
I think that's going to be right off because I think it's going to completely right off because we're less than a year and we have no idea what that is. But I can see something for November. Hopefully, it's going to be the bloody Blade movie.
No, it's gone. It's gone. It's out of here. I think for once we're in this situation where we're in the dark with a lot of what the future holds for the MCU. But it also gives us an awesome opportunity to reset a lot of things and give us a fresh start as well with the MCU, with the X-Men, the Fantastic Four. I'll be honest, like, cool, the X-Men, I like them. I don't know how excited I am for them to be like this 10-year project that Kevin Feige wants to do. Only because we've gotten that before. We've gotten X-Men 97, amazing show as well. Like, I just don't know how much excitement. I'm going to be upset if I don't get to see a lot of these characters that I like now, like I did in the Thunderbolts, and they kind of end at the Avengers movies.
Well, that's right, Avengers Secret Wars, which under the impression with its just 10-year journey that this phase being the multiverse phase, that after Avengers Secret Wars, it will be the mutant phase. Mm-hmm. And I'm calling it. I'd say the next big bad is they're going to redo Apocalypse.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Because technically you've done Thanos, you've done Ultron, you've semi-done Kang, we're about to get Doctor Doom. The big bads are kind of
running out. Yeah. So I don't know. I really hope Secret Wars and even Doomsday is just not a cameo fest of what Deadpool was. I hope there's like a real story that flows that is like actually keeps me invested.
I'm sure. I'm sure there will be because it is under the Russos doing it. So I'm sure it won't be a cameo fest. But what I've been saying ever since Secret Wars got announced, anything is on the effing table. Any wild theory or wild cameo you can think of, that can be on the table for Secret Wars because of what the story of Secret Wars is. Anything could happen.
Mm-hmm. But we saw the cameos they got in Deadpool, and I'll be honest, Elektra, Blade, like those to me were not anything overtly exciting.
Come on. There's only been one blade, and there's only gonna be one blade.
Yeah, Channing Tatum's awesome.
I guess yeah. Oh, okay, a whole mess of this. Who is your dialect coach? The
So many.
minions.
Yeah.
And I know, to me, I must admit, when I did see the lineup for the Avengers this day, the X-Men characters did surprise me. Like for Nightcrawler, oh my god, I just forgot her name. Not Rogue, Mystique. Like Mystique, Channing Tatum as Gambit. They're the surprises I got, and I'm glad that we're getting Namor.
Yeah,
Namor
Namor
is
coming
coming back.
back.
I'm like, you introduced this character that could literally beat the Hulk to a pulp, flies around, is incredibly strong, and then now you won't see him because he lives under the water. End of story.
Mm-hmm. I think, to me, the whole X-Men getting reintroduced in Doomsday, I'm just, I'm rolling my eyes to that. We've had, how many send-offs have we had with Professor X? We had Last Stand, there was a send-off. Logan, there was a send-off. He died again in Multiverse of Madness. We don't need to keep seeing these. In my opinion, I think, and we just don't need to keep seeing these. Oh, a Nightcrawler. He was in one movie. I'm so excited. No, I don't know. It's just, to me, it just seems like, I don't know. We're sending off these characters that we have done already. Like Deadpool and Wolverine felt like a nice conclusion of the 20th century. They're rolling the credits. They're throwing on Green Day, I think it was. No,
Yeah.
that is not Green Day. Maybe it was Plain White Tees. Maybe that might be it.
Yeah, that was a good send off.
Yeah, like that's what we need. We don't need that for Doomsday. Like, you're just adding 20 extra characters for what? Like, am I excited for James? I can't think of his name. Mandolph? No, that's
James Marston.
Yeah, Cyclops. No.
I have to disagree with you. That I'm excited because I want to see him in that blue and yellow suit, and I want to see him say the iconic line. To me, my X-Men, like that, like him saying that in front of that OG cast is the same, like not the same level, but that would still be a cool scene to see on film. Him saying that.
I hope they're minimally involved in Doomsday, because we have waited 7 years for our characters to return together, and now we're doing that. We're introducing all these new characters as well. Like, I want that. I don't want to see, because they're not going to matter after this movie either. Like, if it's going to be another send off. So it's just, I don't know.
Because we're going to get our own X-Men into the MCU, and seeing Shang-Chi back, I'm like, it's been too long since you've been out of the MCU. I can't. The fact just seeing him interact with everybody is going to be fantastic. With the 10 rings, like, and there's less than 12 months to go. Less than 12 months, and it's funny because we're at that point again where I look at what's coming up. I'm like, we don't really know what's really coming up, in the sense of, like, we have these 4 films, but like, when I don't think we're going to get it this year. I think it's going to be next year when we get the official announcement of the next phase. Well, we have to because it's only 2 years away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't think they're going to announce it this year.
No, they're going to be pretty quiet during whatever they go to, because I don't think they even go to San Diego Comic-Con anymore, or Disney. Yeah, their own Disney version or whatever. So I think they're going to probably keep hush hush about that. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how much Fantastic Four makes as a whole, and that we'll see if that can lead into potentially an idea of how much the Avengers is going to make. Because right now, I think Thunderbolts is projecting really well at the box office, and it helps that this movie is good. But then you turn around.
I'll keep going.
I was going to say, but then you turn around and Deadpool and Wolverine made over $1 billion. So I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
Well, at the current moment, Thunderbolts, not including marketing, cost $180 million to make. Currently, right now, Thunderbolts currently is at 31 million worldwide. So come Monday or Tuesday, that always adjusts come opening weekend, seeing how far that goes. Because I think that's going to jump straight up to in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It will drop straight up because card to believe, yeah, Minecraft right now is sitting as $845 million at the box office. And as I say that, I think it's still bullshit on what's happening with that scene with the chicken janky. Everyone just throwing popcorn, everything bullshit like that. Captain America with 414 million. Sinners at 207 million. And then Snow White with 200 million. Dogman with 143. Bridget Jones with 134. Mickey 17 with 131. Working Man at 98. Amateur at 82. Monkey 68. King of Kings 61. Den of Thieves Pantera 57. And Star Wars Episode 3 52 million.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes. So I assume Thunderbolts is going to jump straight up there. I don't know if it's going to make more money than Captain America, but it might.
I feel like it will.
Yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, that's currently at the moment. But so far, at this moment, as being in May, what has been your best movie that you've seen this year so far?
As of so far, I'd say Sinners. I think it does an awesome job at creating an original film, diving into so many numerous amount of genres. The amount of genre blending that's associated with that film is just remarkable to think about. The score, the acting, everything about it has just been fantastic. Warfare is probably a close second, which is really good. And then I might even throw Thunderbolts. Thunderbirds, yeah. Thunderbolts, either third or fourth as well.
Yeah. At the moment, Thunderbolts has really taken the cake for me, but the silent one that still surprises me at the moment is Companion.
Yeah, dude, Companion it's a gem. I think it's like you're not expecting it to be as much as fun as it was, and to me, it's still stuck with me. It's still sticking with me.
It's still. I've been recommending that to everybody, and like with all the movies that we're seeing, that was probably the movie where I watched like it was pretty fucking. That was pretty fucking good, and it was funny. I still like the scene where he's like, "I'll give you time to process that."
I like the part when they're calling the cops, and she's like, "Oh, she's wrapped up in the house still," as she's like walking out the door and running.
yeah, she's still there. Yeah, she's still out there. Yeah, and I think they did so well. Even Novocaine. Novocaine was such a good ride.
Yeah, I thought that was fun. Again, that was another movie where I felt like all the trailers showed everything in that movie, but like the last third act of it. But that was a lot of fun. Good comedy.
Yeah, that was good. So with as we're wrapping up this podcast, what is currently your most excited movie for the rest of the year at this point?
That is a tough question. That is a hard question to ask.
Come on, Mr. Letterboxd.
Oh boy, because we got Superman in July, we got Fantastic Four, we got what else do we got? We get Jurassic Park in July. We have Tron Ares in October. F1 is coming out. I'm gonna go Mission Impossible. Dead. Final Reckoning. Final Reckoning.
I know. I still find it funny. I'm like, so it's gonna for the average viewer, it's gonna be like Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning. You're like, okay, so where's Part 2?
I think, I think a close second would be Avatar Fire and Ash. I think Way of the Water was phenomenal. I'm ready for another movie.
Yeah. I'm my hype for Avatar. And that's mentioned for everyone, like, we had to bet the fact that Wakanda Forever would make more money than Avatar 2, and I won that bet because Black Panther did.
No, yeah, totally. $2 billion.
Yeah. I'm not really excited for Avatar 3. Like, I'm pumped to go back into that world and everything, but I'm just like, with everything you've just mentioned that's coming out, I'm like, I think that's a little bit lower on my list at the moment. Like Tron, even just a small trailer that we got for Tron, I'm like,
that looks insane.
And 9 Inch Nails is doing the soundtrack. This is going to be so good.
I think they're going to do a great job at replicating the vibe that they created on the 2010s. Yeah, Legacy, but just amplifying that by so much.
Yeah. And hopefully Jared Leto can get a win at the box office.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Yeah, it's not Morbin time.
No, my gosh.
But look, Zach, thank you so much for coming on the episode. It's been too long. I can't wait to have you back. We need to make these gaps a lot smaller for the shows. I would love to have you on back on for Fantastic Four, but at this moment, I still have no idea how I'm going to record the review for that at this moment. But Zach, do you have any final words?
No, as always, it's a blast talking with you, Lee. 8 times does not feel real. I feel like I know we've been able to carry on a genuine friendship the last few years that we've gotten to know each other, and it's always a blast chatting with you, catching up, and discussing about movies. I'll do it all the time. Just give my letterbox a follow. Up to you. At least look at the profile. But yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do it for everyone who's listening and watching. It's well worth it.
Appreciate it.
Don't know how you go to see as many movies as you do, but it's good. And yeah, it's great to see you, man. It's great to have you back. And you're right. I can't believe this is number 8. And I still look back and go, shit, that's not episode 45.
I know.
And then we record on Spotify's. Was it Spotify Live or something? We recorded that episode on.
Yes. Yeah, that was funky, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good times.
Couldn't get Anchor to work or something.
Yeah.
And the fact that Anchor's gone.
Yes. Yeah. Spotify bottom. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. Good times.
And great classic hits. But all right. But thank you, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, ranters and rantettes. Until next time. Happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your